Problems with the concept of a single deity in the Western world. When thinking about God, the existence of God, the nature of God, often it's not appreciated that in the West, the ideas about God have changed over time, and over time, an accumulation of properties and features that people like to associate with the single deity of the Western religions has led to, when thinking about it carefully and critically, a number of problems. And sometimes people don't realize that what difficulties they're facing in thinking about that deity is the result of a history that has led to the particular problem that they're facing. There have been studies done of ancient texts and ideas about the single deity and how it's changed over time, and you might want to consult them. There's even one titled A History of God. But here is some of the basic problems with the, if you'll permit the use of the word, evolution of the concept of the single deity over time. If you look at some of the oldest works in the Western religions, you'll find that when the idea of the single deity took precedence over multiple ones, it was a deity that had features much like that of a human being, so that it wasn't thought to be all perfect and all good. That notion develops over time. And when it does, and the deity of the Western religions is impacted by the result of philosophical thinking about the nature of truth and goodness and beauty, the deity is then given those properties, the source of all that is good and beautiful and wonderful. When confronted then with why evil exists in the world, a problem is first thought of by Marcus Aurelius. That goes back about 2,000 years. If the deity is all good and all powerful and all knowing, how could evil exist? Wouldn't the deity know in advance evil was going to happen and then using the power prevent it from happening? Or, if you want, even think of Lucifer, who's said to be the source of evil, tempting humans to turn away from God, the one and only. Lucifer is a creature of God, created by God, an angel of the highest order, an archangel, angel of light. Why would a deity create a being that the deity knows will turn against that deity and lead to so many, horrific consequences, particularly for sentient beings such as humans, the sufferings that we endure due to acts that we call evil, evils of human creation. There are natural events that also occur. Why would the deity allow for earthquakes and floods and disasters and plagues if the deity was powerful and good? Well, that problem, the problem of evil, which philosophers have dealt with and which anyone who studies philosophy eventually gets around to dealing with, it's a problem because the concept of the single deity is imbued with, over time, all of these wonderful properties, and it leads to, for many people, this inconsistency or illogic of how a deity that's all good, all loving, all merciful, all kind, all these wonderful things could put up with evil in any form. There's also the question, if the deity is all perfect, then why need to create anything outside of itself? That becomes an issue when you think carefully about how the deity is conceived. There are other questions about the deity and its ability to understand and have knowledge of humans without having the consciousness or awareness of a human, which is itself finite. Many of the properties of the deity that lead to problems is often dismissed in religion by saying it's a mystery and it's an act of faith to just accept that it is so. But mystery and faith are not the basis for philosophical thought. It's reasoning and careful thinking. So in philosophy, we deal with the concept of the deity as well as the existence of such a deity And there are significant issues raised by people who make claims about the single deity, which philosophy will take up. And hopefully you'll come to understand philosophical method better by pursuing these topics in a philosophical manner.